Russian warplanes are once again testing NATO's defenses in a fresh show of tension over the Baltic Sea. Sweden scrambled fighter jets after Russian military aircraft flew close to its airspace. Sweden's armed forces said two separate encounters took place on Friday. The first occurred in the southern Baltic Sea, the second followed in the northern Baltic. In both cases, Sweden deployed JS-39 Gripen fighter jets to identify and shadow the Russian aircraft. The jets were identified as Russian Sukhoi 24 and Sukhoi 34 combat aircraft. Swedish forces said that the airspace was not violated, but the flights were close enough to trigger an intercept. The incident is the latest in a series of encounters between Russian aircraft and NATO forces. Since the war in Ukraine began in 2022, Russian air and naval activity has increased across the Baltic region. In response, NATO has stepped up air policing missions and expanded its military presence along its eastern and northern flanks. Last year, Poland found itself on the front line of growing tensions when more than a dozen of drones crossed into its airspace during a Russian assault on Ukraine. NATO and Polish fighter jets were scrambled, air defense units were activated, and the alliance was forced to respond in real time. However, the concern is not just limited to the skies. NATO is also keeping a close watch underwater. Earlier this year, the British Royal Navy reportedly tracked 3 Russian submarines during a month-long deployment in the North Atlantic. The submarines were operating near critical undersea cables and energy pipelines. Western officials have warned that any threat to such infrastructure would be taken very seriously. And as Russia continues to test the region's defenses, NATO is determined to show it is ready to respond.